Welcome to episode 3 of Puck Drop. Today we're going to be talking about the Raiders as per usual, a bit about the league, and we've got an interview with a women's ice hockey player for the Cambridge Kodiaks. I wasn't there unfortunately, but Brody, how did it go?
It was a good interview. We had a few good talking points during it, and it was yeah. I think we really we spread a lot of awareness for the women in ice hockey. So yeah, it was all good.
I'm glad to hear that. It's definitely not appreciated enough by the large majority of people.
Yeah,
Um, so last weekend's results, on Saturday we had a 7-5 loss, and on Sunday we had a 3-2 loss against Telford Tigers. Um, it's not the results we want to see, but on there was some pretty questionable choices from the officials, but you gotta love him, right? No game without him, and all that jazz.
yeah. I feel like last weekend didn't really go as planned. As, put it in nice terms, as planned. Obviously, that doesn't that you can sit there and say we're out of it now. No, we can still fight. We can still have a go. See if we can make it to Coventry. Um, but I feel like the only thing was that second half of the season, the performance gap got like the performance difference was brilliant. So going into that first weekend, we were, you know, more confident. We were like, if we keep playing the same way we have been, we'll get something. And obviously, it just wasn't our weekend that weekend. But it doesn't totally mean we're out of it. It just means we've got to push a little bit hard. It just means we've got to push a little bit harder. Just get the job done, and let's see if we can do it.
I think we can definitely put up a fight. I mean, we've got Swindon this weekend, and I think if we give it all, we definitely can beat Swindon. And yeah, we just need to bring our A game because I think the boys have realised that even though we've improved so much over the season, we've still got to put up a fight.
Yeah, yeah. Also, you could playoff hockey is a lot of pressure to put on
Yeah,
a player. So obviously coming back to Romford, obviously we now have our old name back. If you asked us now what hockey team do you support, we can say the Romford Raiders officially. Um, but playing, obviously, it might seem like the smallest things, like even playing in like the new jerseys and all that might give player confidence, but it also might
yeah.
put pressure on top of the player to perform and play for the team. But I feel like either way, we put up a fight. That game on the Saturday, it was close. It was very close for most of it.
It was
It was a
close.
hard.
I think
It was a hard fought game, and I feel like we really did perform. It was just unlucky towards the end, and that's all that it takes in ice hockey is one little thing, and you could be done. So
See, I think the 7-5 loss sounds a lot less close than it actually was because of one, that empty net goal and their really late game comeback. Because up until like the last 10 minutes of the third period, it looked like we had it in the bag, and I think that's why we could have fumbled because we got overconfident because we had a 2-goal lead, and then
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
Also, just a quick good job to Bryn Caps scoring in the first weekend of playoffs. Um, as a young player, that's quite difficult to do, and he's managed to do it. So good job, Brindley.
he's he's definitely one of the most impressive under 18s in the league.
Definitely, definitely.
Um, so end of the season, who do you think your favorite Raiders player has been this season, Brody?
Um, if we're talking British player that's hit from here. Obviously Brindley is up there with mine because he's just been so impressive with the Raiders and with the Buccaneers as well. Um, TJ Anderson has put in a heck of a performance. getting how many points he has in such a short period of time, and especially his change as a player, like from last season to this season, has been brilliant. And if and also if we're talking imports, Adam Lotion for me because he's just been absolutely on one. He's keeps on scoring the goals. So yeah,
I think Adam Laystrom is hands down one of the best imports in the league. Like he comes out and performs week in, week out. Like I really can't fault him.
yeah,
Um, but for British players, I think um one of my favorite players this season has got to be Jake Sylvester. He's put up 64 total points in 48 games, and I think that's really quite impressive. Um, I think he's one of the ones that definitely goes under the radar and isn't doesn't get as much of the spotlight as like the younger kids are getting, like TJ and Brinley. But he's definitely one of the unsung heroes of the Raiders.
yeah. And for also a player that had to switch to the fishbowl as well due to injury, and he's still gone and performed like that. That is really impressive.
Yeah. So should we move on to league news?
We should, yes.
Leeds are dominating. Who would have thought? Like,
Uh,
oh, no
no
one
one saw
saw
that
that
one
one
coming.
coming, did they? 8-3 against the
No, God,
Seahawks on Friday, and then oh, when was that other game?
God, that was
And then they won 6-3 again on Sunday. Like,
yeah,
oh,
they're absolutely on one. As a team, the Leeds Unites are a big powerhouse
I
in the
mean,
league compared to other
they have
teams.
great net minding. They've got some great forwards like Kieran Brown. I think one of the big
I would
Instagram accounts named him player of forward of the season because he's got something crazy like 60 plus goals and 60 plus assists. Like the man is an absolute machine.
going back to net minding as well. I'm quite big on net minding
Yeah,
myself, and Sam Gospel for the Leeds Knights has had honestly fair play to him. But obviously, he's on another team. You don't really want to see the other team do well, but he has done absolutely brilliantly. So can't fault his performance.
you can't fault his performance, and he is such a funny bloke. Like,
Oh,
I
he is.
remember
He's
one
hilarious.
game I blew him a kiss, and it was just, he caught it. It was too funny. But
Yeah,
when you're putting up such a good performance, it doesn't hurt to have banter with the fans that you're against, right?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think
You've almost got less things to you've almost got less things
yeah,
to worry about
like
when it comes to that.
he is.
So
I think he's just having a good time, and I think that's the case with all of the Leeds United players because they've got such a great squad.
yeah,
Um, but they've definitely got their weaknesses, and if we do meet Coventry, I think we could have them like we did in the regular season.
every every team has their weaknesses, and it's something that you can't get rid of. It's just it's there and it's there for a reason. Not every team can be perfect, so not even like NHL teams are perfect. They've always got their faults in them. So it is what it is. But it's like still compared to other teams, I think their performance this season has been
Unmatched. It's been unmatched,
outstanding. Yeah, has been unmatched. Happy.
and the other teams in the playoffs, Milton Keynes, which surprised me, lost both games to the Wildcats.
That is an interesting result.
It makes me it makes me question how our games against the Wildcats are going to be. But I think it gives me confidence for our games against Milton Keynes, though.
Yeah, yeah. It questions how are we going to perform against Milton Keynes when they've performed so well all season and then come into the first round of playoffs and they've not really come swinging,
Yeah.
so we say, come swinging out the bats. So yeah,
The only teams left to talk about are Bees and Peterborough, I think. Bees lost both their games against Peterborough, but like I think we all saw that coming.
Oh yeah,
because they
because
only just got in the playoff groups, right?
yeah, bees were they aren't on a similar level to the Raiders, but they're on, let's say, neutral grounds with them. So so losing against a team that are always seen as a high up team, it's not really like a surprise,
Yeah.
but it's also,
But yeah, I didn't think at the start of the season I didn't see whole Seahawks finishing so high in the table. Like that was quite a surprise.
yeah,
But they're one of the teams I love to hate, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, as Raiders fans, we don't, we not everyone can like every
Yeah.
team. I feel like they're one of them. So yeah,
And quickly before we cut to the interview, we'd like to say good luck from the puck drop team. Good luck to all of the GB players going to Poland to compete in that tournament. We wish you the very best.
yeah. Especially our own as
Yeah,
well. Uh,
Brinley and Joe.
Joe and Brindley. Yeah, them two. Good luck, lads. We're rooting for you. So, first of all, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's very, very great having you here. And
No
yeah,
worries.
yeah, I think we should just hang on, let me just see if I can find my questions. And I think we should just start getting into it. So, first question is, how's your season been this year?
Yeah, I think the season so far has been a good one. Definitely one to remember for me. Joined a new team, which is a great group of girls with an absolutely amazing coach who's done so much for us on and off the ice, which has really influenced how we've been playing this year. Right now, we're in the top spot as a newly formed club and 4 points above second place, who have played 3 games more, but the pressure's on. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, and then I won't go in order with these questions, but so what are your plans for the future in ice hockey?
For me personally, one day I would like to take up one of the EIH courses to get my coaching badge of both level 1 and level 2 to hopefully coach a team once I'm that bit older. I've got that bit more experience behind me to kind of repay the favour and see a different side to the sport that I haven't got to see yet and just repay it back, really.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Sounds like a great plan. And so the main question is, what's it like being a woman in ice hockey?
It's such a privilege to see how far we have come, because it's obviously, when you think of ice hockey, you kind of see it as a more male predominated sport. So to be a part of like the gender who doesn't get seen as much as of yet, it's nice to help break down that barrier and be a part of the progress that we're making in the sport. And it's also nice to inspire others who are maybe starting out or just watching the sport, young girls who are thinking about it. So it's nice to have that feeling, and hopefully I can carry it on.
Fair enough. That sounds like I feel like you are probably one of the most influential of people I've seen out there, because you obviously you have these big players that do influence people, but then you've got to look at the other people that in the sport as well, and I feel like you're one of them.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah. So next question is, what would you think of a Romford women's team?
I think it's absolutely vital that Romford look into getting a women's team in place. I think we've been back for 6 years, and there's lots of girls, more and more girls each season coming through the different age groups within the Romford junior system. So adding a women's team provides a pathway for them to go, and instead of looking to travel elsewhere, which not everyone can do, unfortunately. So yeah, I think it's absolutely vital that one day, and it's as soon as getting looked at, because people like me obviously live in the local area, having to travel quite far out to be able to play in the women's league. And if Romford got that, it would just give girls another place to go and follow through from a young age within the junior system. So
yeah. I feel like also that it would probably gain more popularity for not even for Romford and also for women's ice hockey as a whole. Just
yeah,
being
100%.
just being able to go 10 minutes down the road to watch a women's ice hockey game will probably make it a lot easier for some people rather than having to travel to these far out places that have got their own women's teams. So
Yeah, 100%. It's all about equality, and I think we do need one because more and more clubs each season now, like with this year Caledonia have introduced a new women's team. They're currently top of their league, so it is, the women's game is growing, and I think clubs, not just Romford, there's lots of other clubs that still need to introduce the women's team, but it needs to be introduced so it can grow the popularity and the coverage of the sport for 100%.
yeah, and sticking with Raiders and Romford as a whole, this season, what has been your favourite game to go and watch?
Oh, favourite game? Quite a few. I mean, watching them is always an absolute privilege. My favourite game would probably have to be when we beat Sheffield 9-1 down in Sheffield in February, I believe it was. Can't remember the exact date. Just the whole game. No, it's a 9-1, but it was nice to actually dominate the game. It was a statement win. Obviously, at that time, we were looking to try and get playoff kind of secured as soon as. And to go away to Sheffield, it's a tough place to play. And the boys really did pull it out that game. And it was a statement win. And just let the league know that we mean business.
Yeah. I feel like that. I remember that game because I don't usually travel to away games, but I always watch them from home, and being able to go to even the team that's below you in the league, still to go and beat them at their place is a job well done, especially to that
Yeah,
stature of a 9-1 win as well. It's like you've actually achieved something
yeah,
quite impressive there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't take no team for granted in this league. So a big scoreline is definitely not always going to happen, but we took the opportunity and had them while they were down. So
Fair enough. So we also want to talk about sort of the advancement of women's ice hockey. So obviously, it's now a lot more popular. One with the new PWHL league rising up in America, but also internationally as well. So, are you impressed with how it's sort of moving forward?
yeah, especially with the PWHL, I think that was a massive popularity gain for the women's side of ice hockey. Obviously, it's now paying spectators. There's more media coverage and recognition across social media. I mean, every game you see, what's it called? The population. Oh, not the population. The number of paying spectators that are going to watch a PWHL game is growing, and they're constantly breaking down records. So it is growing 100%, and it's nice to see that they've now got a professional league to go and play in, because it's what they deserve and what everyone deserves, to have that opportunity.
And also with all these international teams for like England and Sweden, all that, you're saying that it's almost growing. It could. Well, do you think it could grow just as big as the men's game?
100%. I think obviously the women's worlds are going on right now, and you look in the crowd and there's way more people than what there was, but there still is work to be done. But if it keeps going and going, I do believe that it will reach the heights of what the men's is one day. Obviously, with a lot of hard work, keep the media coverage going, the promotion, it will get there.
Yeah. Right. So we're going to move on to our Instagram fan questions. So thank you for everyone for putting one in. So first question is, what is the best and worst rink you've played at, not including Cambridge?
God. Best rink I'd probably have to say is Cardiff. Obviously, it's an elite Olympic size pad. Just the whole facilities were excellent. We was down there on Sunday. 1-4-2, so that obviously holds a special memory now. Obviously, they were unbeaten, and but that is probably the nicest rink. The worst rink, probably joint are Peterborough and Whitley Bay. Just no words for those two rinks. This it's just not good.
Fair enough. Next question is, how does it feel to represent women in ice hockey?
Obviously, all the younger girls coming through, especially, it's just nice to know that you're helping break down the barrier again. Like I said at the start of the recording, it's nice to help break it down, and just it's a cool feeling. Yeah, 100%.
And final
staying
question
within the
is,
sports,
out of hockey,
course, I would
what would you do as
like
a
to see
hobby/job?
myself, if I didn't do hockey, or even can still do it, as a sports analyst for hockey, or something that helps promotion of other sports like media coverage and all that. I think that's vital for the sporting industry, and I'd like to help with that one day. No worries.
Fair enough. Right. Well, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful having you.
So our next segment is about
wish you the best
next
of luck for the
playoff games.
season.
So we've got Swindon, like we mentioned at the start, this weekend. I'm quite excited to go into those games. As I mentioned at the start, I think it's going to be interesting, especially given their performance against Milton Keynes. And there's some very interesting looking fixtures this weekend for the other teams, like Bees versus Seahawks. I think it's going to be a good game, and MK v Telford is also going to be a good game on Saturday. So what are you thinking about playoffs overall this weekend, Brody?
The matchups are, you look at other teams' matchups, and you also look at our matchups as well.
Yeah.
And you almost like, it's almost like every weekend the playoffs almost flip, and it's like one week you could be playing the best team, the next week you could be playing the worst team.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's a lot of evaluating that has to happen behind the scenes with like your coaches and the players. And you need to evaluate what's going to happen, what's going to happen, and what can you do to prevent those things from happening. So going into this weekend against Swindon after their great performance against MK, I truly believe that we can put up a fight.
100%.
And I hope we can come up with the win, but it's just a matter of time until we see. So
I mean, they've got some really powerful players on their side, like Thomas Malasinski. Sorry if I said that wrong. With 101 total points, like he's an absolute unit for the Wildcats.
their netminding force as well. I've heard is quite, obviously after last weekend, has shown that their netminding force is good, and so it's going to be a bit of a matchup of goalies this weekend as well, because there might be a chance that Brad Winterbank gets put in. No one knows, but there could be a chance they might want to play him for a bit. But it's just going to be a matchup of goalies, but also you've got to look at the outfield players as well, and you've got to look like who's going to match up with who. So is someone like, I don't know, Nell going to match up with Aaron Conley, and you've got to think, okay, how's he going to be able to beat him?
Yeah.
And then so we'll have to see what happens, because it's a bit of an unpredictable. Playoffs is always unpredictable when it comes to matchups between players, but I think we definitely we definitely can put up a fight against any team. yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's going to be important trying to like bait Glenn Billing off of the ice because he's got 70 points, but like 10 penalty minutes in the regular season, not including cup games. Like he's a
yeah.
force and he plays clean. And I think Peterborough versus Leeds is also going to be one heck of a game. But let's be honest, Leeds are going to absolutely.
I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure. As I said, and I'm going to say again, playoffs are so unpredictable. It's like it's playoffs are almost like the F1 race of ice hockey. You know, one thing could happen, and then but all of a sudden something else could happen,
Yeah,
and it basically all muddles about, and it's just a bit of an unpredictable time. But that's what makes it exciting. So that's why we like playoffs. That's why we always aim for it every season. So yeah,
yeah. But if you look at Leeds and Peterborough's head to heads, they're winning like all of the games except for one. I think they had one shootout loss. Oh, one shootout loss and one
the
regulation
regulation
loss
losses
out of like
is down
six
to the
total
team, but
games.
shootout losses just that's called unlucky then, because you can't always control a shootout. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think some of the shots I've seen in shootouts in this league and others, like you can't even fault the
yeah. But
goalies because
you have those
they're
goalies
just
that
bloody good
can
shots.
save them and are actually doing exactly. So
That perform well, yeah. I think it must be a lot easier and a lot harder because like you've got no traffic in front of the net, but you've also got like
yeah,
concentrate
yeah.
really hard on where they're going to play the puck. So, playoff predictions. Where do you think everyone's going to finish in our group?
You'd like to think the Raiders are gonna make Coventry, so obviously I've put them in second. I haven't put them in first, just to. But I think us and
I think it'd be narcissistic to put us in first. And I don't think we
us
can.
us and
I don't
MK
think we
are
can
gonna get
reach
through,
first
as
anyway.
far as I know. And if it's not MK, um, honestly I'd like Swindon to get through, um, just because I think if they've come out the bat with a great performance already, they 100% deserve playoffs Coventry spot. So
See, us and Swindon getting through would be ideal, but I think realistically, I think it could be. I think anyone in Telford, to be fair, because Telford have been
yeah,
playing good in
against
their
us.
playoff games.
But
But because I think keeping such a close game has been good because they can handle the pressure. Um, and for the other group, let's be honest, it's going to be Leeds
yeah,
and probably
you would like to
Peterborough.
see a different team get through. Obviously, when you start playoffs, you look at the big teams. You think there's just one time can you not get through? Like even sometimes I say it like sometimes I don't really want Leeds to get through just to see what would happen. You know how much more competition will there be? It'll be a lot more competitive.
It'd be it'd be really interesting to see Bees go through to Coventry. I really don't think it's going to happen,
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice,
if
but
I'm being totally
it's
honest. But um,
yeah.
yeah, we'll see. So, thank you to all of you guys for listening.
Thank you to
Um,
Ellie for coming on the podcast.
yeah, thank you to Ellie for coming on. We would like to hear all of your thoughts about this episode over on our Instagram. And in news of our podcast, we've actually got a website under construction. Um, and so if you have any thoughts of what you'd like to see on our website, maybe a forum for you guys, or uh, upcoming episodes, or like idea suggestions for an episode, just give us a shout on Instagram. We'll try and make it happen. Because obviously we're we're a podcast by fans for fans at the end of the day. So nothing's more important to us than your feedback. We will catch you in the next one.